Alrighty, fifth and final part, we're gonna go through applications. No, we're not. What are we doing? We're going through the interviews. Okay, interviews can always be the challenging part, I think. I really like them. I really think it shows you the best version of that person and puts them under pressure, forces them to come up with the answers off the top of their head. They can't sit behind a computer and write like these written questions. They can't like, you know, make all the cover letter pretty and your CV pretty. It's just raw. It's just you in the room answering the question that you've been asked. And I really like how that positions people to essentially make them think about what they're saying, why they're saying it, and gets them to bring out like the answer that they have on top of their head. It is difficult, no doubt about that. It puts you under pressure, it forces you to think hard, and you have to think on the spot. So, overview of the interview application for internship, at least for Victoria. I don't know how other states do it, if they do a recorded question, if they do a live like 10-minute, 15-minute Zoom call. For Victoria, at least, we have internship interview questions on the PMCV website. They open up at certain times. You essentially see a question, then after you see the question, you have about a minute or so to respond, and it automatically starts recording on your webcam off your computer. After you answer that question, then it automatically submits it. You don't have time to like revise the answer, it just gets submitted. Then after that, you have another question and then another question after that. So gives you the chance to answer these questions in quick succession, think on your feet, just get it over and done with. And I really like that aspect of it. You're not like umming and ahhing for ages. Someone asks you a question, or like the computer asks you a question, you answer it, and then to the best of your ability, you can deliver a response. So tips for the interview, I go through this in another couple of videos, going through how to answer it, how to think on your feet, essentially how to configure different responses. That was for my interviews that I just had as a junior doctor for my registrar interviews. These are slightly different, they're slightly more dialed back, a little bit more rudimentary in the principles that you need to illustrate. I think at the basis of interview questions, I think at the basis for interview questions for internship at least, the main principles do not change. Interns are meant to be safe, respectful doctors who operate within their limits and who aren't cowboys, essentially. I remember one of my registrars told me one time when I was a medical student, interns will never get in trouble if they operate within their means. If they escalate appropriately, if they just do their job. You just need to alert senior people if you are worried about a person, if you need help, anything like that. You just escalate when appropriate. You're not meant to solve all these problems by yourself. Even if people expect you to do so, even if you get in trouble for not being able to or not knowing what to do, that is completely fine, because at the end of the day, interns meant to escalate when appropriate. It's your learning year as a doctor. It's your first time working in the medical field. It's very, very daunting. So just remember that when you're answering any of these questions, okay? So I guess let's stop talking about it and let's actually try to do some. I wanna see if PMCV actually has an example video interview demonstration. Let's go ahead and screen record this. All right, so PMCV website, I've shown you this a couple times. If you go to all matches, you go internship match, then you scroll down here, reading material, video interview demonstration. So this is what it looks like POV for you in terms of how the interview will take place. Let's go ahead and play this.
Hi everybody and welcome to the instructional video. Today we're covering,
Alright, let's just blah blah blah.
Step I'm going to do.
Oh yeah, here, let's do this. So, apparently you've been matched. Yeah, here you go. This is what it looks like. So remember I was going through that timeline before, like do all this stuff, get your eligibility, put your preferences in, blah, 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 upload your CV, referees. Then you do a video interview, okay? Here, start video interview. Oh, here you go. The questions will simulate what you will be doing during a live interview. You'll have 2 minutes to answer each question. There'll be 5 questions, not including the practice question. There you go. So it goes for about 15 to 20 minutes in total. I'm pretty sure it was like less questions when I did internship interviews. So I didn't have that long as well. I don't think 2 minutes was the time that I had to answer my questions. I'm pretty sure I had less time. It was like a minute and there was 3 questions, but I don't know. Maybe they've changed. It looks like they've changed. So blah, 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 connect your camera and microphone. By the way, you don't have to do like some fancy microphone camera job like I'm doing now. Imagine if I was to interview off this camera and hook it up, stream it. They'll be like 4K quality. Like, this is insane. Get this guy a job. Nah, just use your webcam and laptop speaker. That's fine. Oh yeah, here we go.
4, 5.
There you go. Pre-record, save it. That's fine. Oh, let's just go to the question. Practice question. Here we go. Let's watch this.
Just question. This is really just for you to familiarize yourself with the video interview setup and make sure that you're prepared. As you can see, there's a timer which counts down and lets you know how much time you have to read and prepare. This is what it will also look like when you go in and record your real answers as well.
Yeah, so that's essentially what happens. Like, you go in, you have the question on one part of the screen. You can see your face if you want to look at it, or you can not look at it. I think actually, what I did was this. So I was like worried for the interview that I wasn't gonna make eye contact. And usually, like, if I'm talking on a Zoom call, like, I'm looking at the person, obviously I'm not looking at the actual lens, but when someone is gonna be watching me back, think about where my eyes are gonna be. So my eyes are gonna be on the webcam for them. So what I did, and if I'm not looking at the webcam, they're gonna be thinking, oh, I'm looking at some corner of the room, I'm reading off something. I don't know. If I'm talking to you and you're watching this video now, I'm looking directly in the lens. And if I look in the lens, that means that when you're watching me back, you're looking at me and I'm looking at you. We're having a conversation. We're like connected. Do you know what I mean? So what I did was I actually printed off a photo of one of my favorite TV shows, Peep Show. One of the characters of Peep Show, I just put them behind the webcam so that when I was doing the interview for my internship applications, I was just talking to this like character. And maybe in hindsight, it wasn't the best thing to do in the world, but maybe you can talk to, maybe print off a photo of, like, I don't know, someone more important or someone more professional. But yeah, I guess I wanted to have a conversation with that person. So I printed off a photo of them, stuck them on with a bit of blue tack, and essentially interviewed with them. And I was like, that's elite, because I don't want to not make eye contact with them. Do you know what I mean? So anyways, blah, blah, blah. You won't actually get the chance to save your answer in terms of the real life interview. I'm pretty sure you just, because you don't get an...
So I can watch this.
Can you re-record?
And...
Yeah, I don't know. And not for the actual interview. Yeah, my understanding was that if you had the question in the real life interview, then you don't get a chance to re-record and redo it. You essentially just have to do your first take, which I actually really like, because in a real life setting, if I was asking you a question, you don't get to have 3 takes at answering a question. You answer the question that I asked you and you go from there. And if you want to change your answer, or if I have another question, then you slightly alter your answer or you give me more information. You don't just say, oh, let's start again, let's go back to the start. It's your job to think on your feet and adapt and go from there. So let's go through the actual question. Yeah, here you go. So how do you deal with pressure or stressful situations? Let's just do this. I mean, I have 2 minutes of
Here,
question.
again, I can see my preparation.
I have like 5 seconds of preparation time. Yeah, I have like 5 seconds of preparation time.
I'm counting down, and then when I'm ready to record, I can start recording my answer. And then...
Okay, so let's just do it. Let's just spend 2 minutes answering this question. I mean, this is a pretty realistic interview question that interns may get. How do you deal with pressure or stressful situations? I mean, first and foremost, I think that it's important to take a breath if you can in these stressful situations, because if you don't take a breath, take stock, then you might actually jump into actions that are not thought through, and you don't actually think about them and their subsequent consequences. So in terms of pressure and stressful situations, get a team together as soon as you can. For example, in a code blue or a Met call that is a high pressure, high stress situation, your first mode of call as an intern in that situation is essentially to escalate when appropriate. Call a Met call, it gets announced over the speaker system. More people come who are more senior, who have more experience, and who are able to take that pressure off that one person. So in terms of the relevance to the healthcare setting for this answer, it is your responsibility to involve more people so that you're not doing more than what you should. You're not taking on more responsibility than what you're capable of. So the first port of call in terms of high stress situations, get more people involved, take stock, allocate roles, then you get to focus on specific tasks rather than trying to solve everything all at once. When people are allocated tasks, I mean, just look for the code blue situation. You literally have stickers on you that say, oh, I'm in charge of the airway, and that's it. Oh, I'm in charge of writing down notes as a scribe, that's it. You need to allocate, direct, involve a team, and essentially work together to collaborate to get over this high pressure situation. And then the high pressure eventually becomes slightly lower pressure, and then lower pressure over that. And by getting a team together, allocating specific tasks, going through different roles, and then checking again and again, you will reduce the risk of mistakes and essentially get the best possible outcome you can after that. If I had more time, I've probably used up 2 minutes now, but the additional thing that I would say is that after that high pressure situation has ceased, or it's been resolved or whatever, you essentially take stock and debrief. So one of the best things you can do in these situations, it might not be in the healthcare setting, it might just be in real life. If you have a big event that happens, maybe something good happened from it, maybe something bad happened from it, whatever. After that big event has happened, you essentially should reflect on how that went, how you acted in that moment, how you changed, what your reactions were, and maybe say, well, did I do that well, or did I do that not so well? Did I respond in the appropriate amount of time? Could I have done it better? How would I have changed that in the future? So that aspect of reflection makes it better for the next stressful situation that will inevitably come up. There are times where, you don't expect things to happen that will. I mean, we had a code blue on the second last night shift, or the last night shift, I can't really remember. And that was essentially a high pressure situation. It wasn't something I expected. It's not something you ever expect. And going back to basics, having your foundations so deeply rooted in how you practice medicine in that situation is really, really important. And you go back to basic principles. You might not know the answer straight away, and you might not have the exact solution, but when you go through principles and protocols in those high pressure situations, that's when you get the best outcome, because inevitably it's hard to make decisions when you're under stress, when you're under pressure. So if you can actually already have the answer or the direction of the right way to go already pre-planned, then you take the pressure off your thinking capacity and you get to focus on just making sure that those actions are done, and inevitably it'll lead you to the right response or the right outcome. So Yeah. I guess that's one way I would go about answering that question. It was probably a bit of like a 5-minute response all up, but I think I got the crux of it out in 2 minutes, and that's the main thing you should do. I should probably have taken some Ventolin as well, or use my asthma puffer, because I'm running out of breath just talking. What did I do in that interview question? Well, that was not so good. I'm pretty sure I made pretty good eye contact. At times I misdirected my eye contact so I could think about what I'm saying and not just about what I'm speaking to on the camera. The other thing that I think I was good at in that is that I spaced out my answer in terms of different words and different frameworks to use. Like I had an overarching framework that which hopefully you guys could easily follow and you could see the direction that I'm going with. I'm not just blabbing about random stuff that makes me good at high pressure situations. Oh, I'm really cool, calm and collected under pressure. I never crumble. I I always maintain the leadership role in these pressure situations. I don't know, you can just list stuff if you want, but I don't think it's a good answer in terms of them hearing that response. Because as I said, go back to the basics. They are looking at your answer as a future intern, okay? So when you're giving them that answer, you want to make sure that you're giving off the vibe that you're safe, you're reflective, you're considerate, and you're able to ask for help. That's all an intern needs to do. Sure, you can learn, you can develop skills, you can learn about procedures and how to do different things, but at the base level, which is what you're assessed at, you need to be safe and escalate when appropriate, and you need to operate within your limits. So dealing with a high pressure or stressful situation, whatever the question is, you just need to extract the essence of an intern and put it into that answer. So my answer should be from an intern's point of view. That's what I would say. I think you cannot go wrong if you answer the question in that manner. So hopefully that helps. Should we try a different question? What other questions do they have? We can try answer another question. Oh, here we go. How do you manage multiple responsibilities? All right, 2 minutes. Let's try to think about an answer for this. Look, I think multiple responsibilities is by and large an expectation for the role of being an intern. And it's not, it's not the easiest thing in the world to have a whole lot of things that need to be done in the course of a day. But one way you can get around the overwhelming sense of stress and pressure with all these tasks is to triage them into different categories. And just like how people get triaged in the emergency department, if they're category 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is, there are some tasks that need to be done right now. There are some tasks that can wait, and there's some tasks that don't need to be done until the afternoon. So think about the workflow, think about how tasks and different, responsibilities, move throughout the course of the day. If you have to do the urgent ones, do that now. And if you can't get the urgent one done, then don't just delay and make them non-urgent tasks, because obviously they need sorting. So what I would do is triage them, look at the urgency of the tasks that need to be done, the responsibilities. If you need help, allocate or delegate those tasks to other members. So maybe there's a second intern on the team and you need to share their responsibility with them. Maybe they can take one urgent task and you can take the other. Maybe if you have a task that's assigned to you and you don't know how to do that completely, getting a more senior colleague to show you how to do that would be, super helpful. Asking a resident or even a registrar, if they're free, to help you, try to, for instance, protocol a scan if you've never done that before. That might be a super useful way of getting that urgent task done. Once your tasks are done, then you can help other people. So I think triaging and delegation are primarily the key aspects of getting rid of the tasks that you have for the day. Well, not getting rid of, but essentially getting the task done and accomplished in the allocated time. There you go. I think that was 2 minutes. I'm not sure if it was less or more. I'd be interested to time myself back and look at how good I am at answering a question in 2 minutes. well, in an allocated time without actually having a timer. I'm just going off my vibe of what 2 minutes is like. I mean, not a perfect answer, perfect response. I've thrust myself in the deep end. I have not prepared at all and I'm just winging this completely, but I think that's not a bad answer, to be honest. I obviously made made eye contact less, I think, but I hit on some key aspects. And when I was sort of going off tangent, when I was sort of going on a tangent and, speaking about things that are maybe not as useful for answering that question, I brought it back to a key framework and you could see me using my hands. And I think when you go to a framework into answering a question, it's very easy to follow and it's very easy for you to keep on answering that question and add more layers. So for instance, one of the most common questions you get in these internship application questions is something to do with a sick patient, someone who is deteriorated on the ward, who doesn't look well. If you go back to the framework of A, B, C's, D's, E's, whatever, then escalate. If they're stable, then you can ask them questions, do an exam, suggest some investigations, involve senior colleague. Whatever that is, just go back to that framework and people will automatically understand where you're coming from. So it doesn't matter what the situation is, go back to that framework and you get the points for the question. Done. If you have a framework for answering questions, people will automatically start giving you marks because they see that you're clear, that you're structured, that you actually think about what you're saying and not just blurt out the first thing that comes into your mouth. Well, not the first thing that comes into your mouth, but the first thing that comes into your head. So that's the best way, the best tips to answering these questions. Is there any more? There's a few different ones. Complete the video All right, video interviewing, done. Do PMCV have any other things about this video interviews? We'll not release questions that you'll be asked in your video interview. Questions will be situational based. Sure, so, oh yeah, there we go. You'll be required to answer 3 questions. Oh, and you have 2 minutes to answer the questions. 1 minute to read the question and prepare your answer before you start to record your answer. Oh, really? You have 1 minute to read the question and prepare your answer and then 2 minutes to answer it. I feel like that's longer than I had, but maybe I'm just forgetting. Video interview for the internship application process. Pretty stressful, high pressure. Essentially what you do, you can prepare some general structures for questions. There's a few resources going around, but if you can just brainstorm some questions, have some qualities, have some examples of what demonstrates those qualities in you. Think about what they want to know from you or what they want to know about you in regards to being a safe intern. They want to make sure that you're able to work in a team atmosphere. They want to make sure that you're a safe doctor. They want to make sure that you can escalate when appropriate. You can sort of envisage the type of questions that they might ask you. There's always something to do with like some sort of sick patient who's on the ward who isn't looking right and you're the first one to recognize that. The main crux of that is just to escalate and go through your ABCs framework. There's that sort of question. There might be a question about dealing with challenges of internship. It might be not getting paid overtime. It might be working too hard. It might be not getting on with a colleague, or maybe you notice that a colleague is not doing so well and you're doing more work. How do you navigate that sort of situation? There are a whole different basket of situations to do with some sort of adversity and how you deal with that. Having some sort of structure to answer those sorts of questions could be very, very useful. There might also be a separate kettle of fish where there's like something to do with your qualities or your personality, why you might be a good fit for the job. What examples do you have of being a team player or a leader or being a safe doctor or something like that? So there might be your quality sort of basket of questions. There might also be something to do with a patient, and maybe they ask you a question, maybe you're asked to do something that's out of your comfort zone at work. Maybe you have a difficult patient and you don't know how to go about fixing it or getting over that interaction. you can list, like just then I listed like 20 different types of questions that you could possibly get. Practice with a friend if you want, practice with me if you really want. We can go through some interview practice, I don't really mind, but I think the main thing is think about what you're answering the question about. Think about the key ticking points that they're trying to extract from a future intern. And if you can, you know, bring together some sort of framework to your answer for the interview question, I think that is only gonna do you in like, yeah, it's only gonna put you in such high regard. So yeah, hopefully that helped. Interview questions, done and dusted. Together, we've got a now complete guide for your internship applications, a complete overview of how to go about them. Obviously, specific things will be state-based in terms of dates, in terms of specific application processes, if they need to use a template or you need application numbers. All the nitty-gritty will be on their websites, but as a general overview for principles that you can use anywhere and for future interviews, this is the key video that you need to watch. Anyways, hopefully that helps. If you have any questions, email me, leave a comment, whatever you need. If you want any of those specific details or extras that I mentioned in other videos, there's a CV template, there's a cover letter template. I might even put in some sort of package where you get to have your internship application reviewed by me. Get a cover letter review, a CV review, go through some practice interview questions, whatever you need to get over your, whatever you need to help you out for your internship applications. Whatever you need to go through your internship applications, I'll put together a little package. Just click the link and we can sort something out. So hopefully that helped. I'm gonna get out of here and good luck with your internship applications. Hopefully you can get the hospital that you want to get into. There you go. All right, bye.